Chapter 6. And hopefully this chapter 6 actually has sound. Shout out to the sweet lady Tracy from Australia who got in touch with me and let me know that the other chapter 6 sound was gone. So we're doing it again. Here we go. Chapter 6. Jeff stood and watched as the chopper rose into the air, then pulled his phone from his pocket as it vibrated. Davis. Jeff, someone is looking for their lost dog. Oh, cool. Now I don't have to drive around trying to get someone to spot me. Jason read off an address. It's in Reno. I bought us some time by telling them you were halfway to Los Angeles. You're about 3.5 to 4 hours away. Jeff grabbed his bags from the Camry and tossed them into the truck. I'm on my way. He started the truck and pulled away. So, how do you want me to play this? Well, they won't want you dead. Not right away, anyway. They'll want you to tell them where you're hiding Mackenzie. Right, so do you want me to take them, or do you want me to let them take me and see what I can milk out of them? I'm not sure how rough they feel like playing, Jeff. I can play rough. When Jason didn't answer immediately, Jeff cursed. Jason, that was a long time ago, and I'm over it. When are you going to get over it? I just want you to understand what you could be in for. I understand full well. Well, I have your backup on their way. Rendezvous with him before you go in. Do you have a feed? Yeah, I got one. Okay, then. So we let them take you. The backstory goes like this. You've crossed over to the dark side due to your need for money, lots of money, for a gambling debt. You were out of the lake house on unpaid leave while I was thinking about giving you a second chance. I can't have my agents dealing in anything shady. Got it. Excuse me. Jeff, be careful and check in. Okay, Mommy, Jeff chuckled as he pushed the end call button. New scene. Mickey eased down onto the foot of the bed and took in her surroundings. Much to her surprise, the friends Jeff sent her to were Eric and Shelley Keno, the famous martial artists who also were the parents of Ricky Keno and Brianna Adams, the even more famous movie stars. They lived in a beautiful home on a giant oceanfront estate near Crystal Cove, south of Los Angeles. Mickey was not a stranger to wealth, but she had to admit the place was breathtakingly beautiful. She had been given the blue room because it was next door to the Keno's bedroom and they wanted her in close proximity. The blue room was actually many shades of blue. The walls were painted in varying giant-sized horizontal stripes of different shades of blue, which accented the beautiful white crown molding. The luxurious bedding was white satin trimmed in blue, giving Mickey the illusion of sitting on a cloud, which she realized was probably the intent of the designer. The headboard was white leather, and a soft taupe and navy blue rug broke up the monotony of the brilliant hardwood floors. A gorgeous seascape hung on the wall opposite the bed, and Mickey felt as if she could get lost in it, or more accurately, she felt just plain lost. Shelley Keno had greeted her warmly, fed her, and escorted her to the room, and then the kind woman had gathered toiletries and a thick terry robe and clothing and brought them to her. Mickey hadn't meant to break down and cry at the kind gesture, but she had just like she'd been doing often over the past 2 days with Jeff. When Mrs. Keno had tried to comfort her, Mickey had withdrawn completely. Mickey was sure she had insulted Mrs. Keno, or Shelley, as the woman kept insisting she call her, even though she said she understood. Once Shelley left, Mickey had jumped into the shower and scrubbed and cried and scrubbed and cried some more. And finally she stepped out of the shower, pulled on the robe Miss Shelley had provided, combed out her hair, and found her way out to the bedroom. Now she couldn't find the energy to do anything but sit. She missed Jeff. She wondered what he was doing, wondered if he was in danger, and worried that he wouldn't make it back to her. She knew her attachment to him was just a little crazy. She knew she was off balance. All the out-of-character crying jags being a giant telltale sign, but it was like she didn't care how crazy it seemed. Jeff was the only one who really understood what she'd been through. And she wanted him to hold her and to talk to her and to tell her everything was going to be okay, because when he said it, She believed it. Her eyes on the picture of the sea in front of her, she stretched out on the bed and went over and over in her mind the kiss that they'd shared that morning. She replayed not only his kiss, but his touch, his soft words spoken in his deep voice. She wanted him so badly it hurt. She longed for his arms to be around her. She needed him. And this need will drive her insane, she realized as she laid there. Doing her best to push him out of her mind, she closed her eyes. And the next thing she knew, Shelley Keena was asking her to move up on the bed. Mickey complied in her half-awake, half-asleep state. Shelley pulled the covers up over her and tucked them under her chin. And then Mickey felt a soft hand on her cheek and heard softly whispered words. Father, thank you for this sweet girl, and please heal her heart. In Jesus' name, amen. Sleep now, sweet child. Everything is going to be all right. You're safe here with us. We promise we won't let anything happen to you. Mickey sighed and snuggled down into the pillows and slept. New scene. Yes, in answer to your question, I went against the wishes of the FBI. I didn't see any reason to keep things hidden. I believe in being honest and open in all my dealings. I put that Jeff Davis's picture on the news because he either knows what happened to my daughter or he has her himself. I want her back, and if I made some bureaucrats at the FBI angry, then so be it. Agent Dodge tried very hard not to roll his eyes as he watched Talman Daly conduct the press conference. His eyes met his partner's, who only shook his head. The interviewer frowned. Well, we understand this is the same Jeff Davis who helped to save all those kids 5 years ago. Were you aware of that? I've become aware of that. However, I can't let the fact that he once was a hero, cover up what he's become. I don't care who he is. I want my daughter back. Surely you can understand that. Senator, do you think not being able to get out and campaign has hurt your chances of re-election? A reporter from the Seattle Times asked. No, I don't think that at all. I think the good people of Washington understand what our family's going through and would expect nothing more than I be here with my family until all this ugliness is behind us. Senator, some people have suggested that you and Mackenzie were not on the best of terms, a female reporter remarked, her mic bearing the Fox News insignia. Talman frowned at the woman. Those people would be mistaken. Our family is extremely close. Mackenzie came home frequently to spend time with us. That hardly sounds like a child who's not on good terms with her family. You have only to ask my wife or my younger daughter, Marissa, and they will confirm the closeness of our family unit. I will not give credit to those who seek to give Mackenzie a bad name. Next question. Marissa stood nearby watching her father answer questions while her mother stood smiling beside him. The perfect family? Hardly. Yet she had always been taught that, and she'd believed it. She'd wanted to believe it. She'd been happy in her little golden shell. But now she realized her mother was a ghost, barely aware of what went on around her, probably on antidepressants, and her father was a monster. The question still remained, is Mick still alive? He certainly acts as if she is. He acts as if he's desperate to find her. And if he is, then, as Agent Dodge said, it's because he wants to silence her. Glancing over at the two FBI agents, she realized that they weren't buying her father's act any more than she was. She wondered if they would take her into their confidence, if they would let her know what was really going on. She decided she would try to find a moment alone with them. New scene. Jeff met with his backup, attached his mic feed, a tiny dot secured under the ribbing of his t-shirt. He checked his guns, stuck one in his holster and one under the seat in his truck, along with his phone, wallet, and knife. Agent Nate Hawk spoke into his mic. Test. You getting this? Jeff nodded. Jason wants me to let you know the perp who'd called to set up the meeting did so from the given address and not from a remote location. Again, Jeff nodded. That told him even though he was knowingly walking into a trap, the building he was in wouldn't be set to blow anyway. Nate took Jeff by the shoulders. The location being so remote, Jeff, I'll have to stay a few minutes away to remain unseen. I won't have eyes on you. I'll be okay. They want Mickey more than they want to kill me. Nate nodded and placed his hand over his heart. Jeff smiled at the gesture from the Native American and jumped in his truck. See you on the flip side, pony boy. 15 minutes later, he arrived at his destination. The place was on the west side of Reno, out in the middle of nowhere. Jeff pulled into a gravel parking lot outside of what appeared to have once been a plant nursery and garden center. Now it was a large deserted building. He pulled up next to a Ford Explorer, pocketed his keys, and stepped down out of his vehicle. First things first, he mumbled to himself. He leaned into the truck, grabbed his knife from under the seat, and quickly sliced through all 4 tires on the Explorer. He replaced the knife and turned toward the building. The trick, he thought, as he moved toward the glass door entrance, is to be bad enough to make them think they had him, and good enough to not let them accidentally kill him in the process. I'm headed in, he mumbled to Nate. Gun in hand, Jeff eased through the glass doors, entering nothing but a small empty room. He made his way to the open doorway that led to the larger portion of the building. Gun first, he edged his way inside, trying not to glance at the man that was flattened against the wall to his left. It seemed to take the man forever before he finally made his move. He stepped up toward Jeff and held his gun to Jeff's head. Hold it right there. Jeff stopped. 3 other men approached. One grabbed the gun from his hand while another twisted his arm behind him and shoved him against the wall, holding him there with a forearm to the back of Jeff's neck. The 3rd man ran his hands over Jeff, removing his keys. That's it, the man said as he straightened. That's it? I figured you'd be loaded down with weapons. Jeff shrugged. Not for the small-time crooks like you. He received a quick kidney punch for the remark. Jeff grunted, but before he could retaliate, his arms were grabbed by 2 of the men and they began to drag him toward the far side of the room. Well, you guys are awfully sensitive, Jeff quipped. You think you're smart, don't you? The one who hit him said. Though it looks like you're not too smart since we got the upper hand so quickly. Now shut your mouth until we tell you to speak. The man hauled off and kicked Jeff in the back of the thigh. That was it, Jeff thought. He might let him take him, but first he was going to teach this guy a little lesson. And in a split second, he twisted his arm from the grasp of the 2 men who held him, grabbed the bully, rammed his knee into the guy's nose, spun and kicked to his head, and sent him down unconscious. 2 guns pointed at Jeff's head, and he threw his arms up. Okay, I'm good. Bring him here, you idiots, Kurt's voice sounded from across the room. They pulled Jeff forward. His eyes met the man who'd been driving the black van on the lake road. The man approached Jeff, brows raised. I'm not going to fool around here, Davis. You know what I want. Where is she? Jeff tilted his head. If you're speaking about Mackenzie Daly, she's alive, and she's somewhere that no one will ever find her. Kurt drove his fist into Jeff's stomach, and Jeff doubled over but stood back up, his chin held at a defiant angle. Did you turn her over to the authorities? Are you kidding me? She's my meal ticket, Jeff quipped. She's not anything for you except your death. Where is she? Well, unless you work out a deal with me, you'll never know. This time the punch was to his face, and blood spurted from Jeff's lip. He licked at it, then spat the blood at Kurt's feet, which earned him several more punches, followed by a kick to the groin. Jeff crumpled. They lifted him back to his feet, and Jeff's purpose here was to get information, so he allowed the rough treatment. However, he was definitely looking forward to the time when this guy would get his comeuppance, and he sincerely hoped it would be him giving it to him. Kurt motioned toward a support beam. Tie him up over there. Memories of another time washed over him, and Jeff's stomach turned for just a second before he got himself under control. And once he was tied securely to the post, the questioning began again. If you don't turn her over to us, you will die. Jeff laughed bitterly. I'm going to die anyway, man. She's my only ticket out of the mess I'm in. What mess is that, Davis? I got myself into some trouble at the casino. They're going to kill me if I don't pay them. You expect me to believe that? You're supposed to be some hero agent for some fancy company. Jeff nodded. I was. You're right. I was being the operative word. So what happened? Jeff shrugged. Well, I guess with all the fame and stuff, I sort of went overboard. I let it go to my head. I got in deep. The first time, my boss, he helped me out, but this time, he says I'm on my own. I was up at my lake house because I was given an unpaid suspension. I swear. Call Ameritech. They won't have anything good to say about me. So what do you think holding the girl is going to do for you? Well, first, when I saw her, I thought, this is great. I'll rescue her, and that would get me back in good with the boss man, you know? But then I realized that still wouldn't get me out of trouble. And then she started spilling her guts about not letting her father know she was alive because he was the one who wanted her dead, and I knew she was worth a lot of money. She was like an angel sent to help me, you know? And so you think you can extort money from us for her? You're going to ransom her to the original kidnappers? Jeff smiled. Oh, when you put it that way, it sounds kind of silly, doesn't it? However, it's more like, I want in. In? Maybe you don't understand. We're not getting money for the girl. Oh, I understand. Plenty. She told me about the arms deal. Keeping her quiet about that would be the most important thing, don't you think? And all I ask is for a small percentage, let's say 10%. 10%? You're out of your mind. You think Daly is going to pay you $8 million? $80 million, Jeff thought. Jeez. Jeff shrugged in answer to the question. There is no deal if the girl talks, so I think $8 million is worth it. Kurt moved up close to Jeff and put a gun to his forehead. I could just blow you away right now. Yeah, you could. However, if anything happens to me, 5 packages get mailed. Video of Mackenzie telling all about what she knows will go to the FBI, Department of Defense, CNN, and Fox. Kurt eased the gun away from Jeff's head. You got this all planned out, don't you? I think I do. Well, how do we know she's even still alive? She is. I've got her stashed with a friend, and if I don't come back, she goes public. As long as I'm alive, she remains hidden and silent, and you guys have nothing to worry about. When I get my money, I deliver her to you. I want proof she's alive. I'll send video to your cell by this time tomorrow. By the way, I'm going to need my money by next Friday or I'm dead. Well, then I guess you're dead, Davis, because this deal isn't going down for 3 more weeks. Well, that worked easy enough, Jeff thought. Well, then tell Daly I'm going to need an advance in order to keep Mackenzie quiet. Tell him I'm going to need $300,000 by next Friday. You got balls, Davis. Yeah, what's left of them. Where's the big deal going to take place? Well, I wouldn't tell you even if I knew. Come on, you're the good senator's right-hand man. Don't tell me you don't know all the details. Kurt shrugged. I don't give a damn if you believe me. No one knows except Talman himself. He's got all the documents, all the details, and I've never seen them. Well, when you know, I want to know, Jeff said. What makes you think I would tell you? Because I hold all the cards. You know all you're going to know. You keep the little brat quiet. You'll get your freaking money. I want that video. And I want the money, so rest assured you'll get the video. Kurt stood staring at the man. What if we decide to take our chances on finding Mackenzie and just kill you now? Jeff smiled. Why don't you ask Talman what he wants you to do? Kurt frowned in frustration. They'd been working this arms deal for almost a year. It was finally coming to fruition, and they couldn't afford to let it get messed up by some spoiled brat little girl and a crooked security agent. Well, Daly's going to ask how we know you really have her. Tell him to wait for the video. Or you can tell him how much I enjoyed his daughter, especially the sweet mole on the side of her left breast. If he knows her as well as she says he does, he'll know I'm telling the truth. He's never had her that way, and if she's telling you that, she's lying. He's never had her. However, he's wanted her, and he's spied on her enough to know that what I'm saying is true. Kurt had no response to that. Oh, and one more thing. I'll know if anyone follows me. You do, and the deal's off. You don't want this deal to be off, Davis, not if you want to stay alive. You're right, I don't. So don't follow me, and we'll all be happy in just a few weeks. Tell Daly he got lucky. How's that? Your boys at the cabin messed up majorly. If I hadn't been there to take up where they left off, Daly would be in federal lockup right now. Kurt rammed his fist into Jeff's gut, and Jeff grunted with the pain. What was that for? Kurt smiled. Just because I don't like you. He nodded at his men. Cut him loose. Can I have my weapon back? No, I think I'll be holding on to it. He tossed Jeff his keys. Jeff made his way out of the building, quickly started the truck, and peeled away. New scene. Yes, Jason said as he depressed the button on his desk phone. Mr. Lee, 2 men tried to enter the building carrying weapons. They've been disarmed, but they're demanding to see someone about information concerning Agent Davis. Jason smiled. These guys are idiots. Send them up. Sir? Send them up, Gail. Have Agent Sykes escort them. Yes, sir. Jason grinned. He carefully tidied up his desk. He removed the picture of his wife and daughter and placed it on a bookshelf to keep it safe, then checked to make sure the camera was operational. Mina buzzed him a minute later. Send them in, he answered her. His door opened, and Agent Sykes led 2 men into the inner sanctuary of Jason's office. One of the men was Chinese, the other maybe Latino, Jason surmised. Sykes closed the door and stood against it, his arms folded across his chest. Jason smiled at him. You can wait outside. Sir? Agent Sykes questioned, clearly concerned for his boss. Jason nodded. It's okay. The agent left as instructed, and the 2 men's demeanor changed immediately from submissive to challenging. Have a seat, Jason ordered as he came around the front of his desk and leaned on the edge. The men sat. My name is Jason Lee, and you are? He waited. The Chinese spoke first. Yin Chu. Mateo Martin, the older man said. Jason purposely didn't offer his hand, but simply nodded. Now, I understand you want information about one of my agents? Jeff Davis. I see. Jason turned his back and moved to the window. And why do you want to know about Agent Davis? He asked without turning around. He's suspected in the kidnapping of Talman Daly's daughter. Yes, I saw that. Sorry for the interruption. An alarm went off. Okay, let's see. He's suspected in the kidnapping of Talman Daly's daughter. Yes, I saw that on the news. He turned slowly to face the men. So, you're with the FBI? No, we work for Senator Daly. I see. So you're here with no authority. The men sputtered on about Daly being a senator while Jason smiled at them. I assure you, working for an elected official gives you no authority here. Well, then you're covering for this guy who could be a felon? Jason laughed. Jeff is stupid, but he's not a criminal. Do you know where he is? No, I've put him on unpaid leave for reasons that don't concern you. I gather from the news report this morning that he went to his lake house to work some things out. Yes, Yin Chu said, and while he was there, he became involved with the abduction of Mackenzie Daly. I doubt that seriously, Jason said. Well, maybe you don't understand the seriousness of the situation, Martin said, a warning tone in his voice. Daly wants his daughter back, and he'll leave no stone unturned and no one unpunished. Perhaps you'd better think about cooperating. Jason moved forward to lean on the front of his desk once more. Are you threatening me? You can take it any way you want. Well, I don't know where Jeff is, and if I did, I wouldn't tell it to a couple of Daly's flunkies. The 2 men rose. Jason eyed their stances calmly. You 2 are making a big mistake. Well, we think maybe it's you making the mistake. Jason had to keep himself from grinning. He decided he would get them a little riled. What? Jason prodded. You think you can rough me up and force me to talk? How do you think you can do that? You, he pointed at Martin, are a make-believe MS-13 wannabe. And you, he said, gesturing at Yin, the Koreans have always outclassed you. You are nothing but a filthy, dirty Chinaman. Of course, Jason had no problem with the Chinese people. Still, he knew mentioning the man's ancestry would stir him easily. The man rattled off a string of threats in Chinese, demeaning Jason's Korean ancestry. Jason surprised him by answering him also in Chinese. Apparently being told off in his own native language was more than the guy could take. He sprang at Jason, who merely blocked the punch, yin through, and grabbed him by his Jason surprised him by answering him also in Chinese. Apparently being told off in his own native language was more than the guy could take. He sprang at Jason, who merely blocked the punch, yin through, and grabbed him by his Adam's apple. I can kill you in one motion, Jason said softly, and I want to, so be very careful and very still. Well, maybe you'd better let him go, Martin threatened as he wiggled his arm and a switchblade fell from his sleeve into his palm. Jason straightened. Maybe I should. In a split second, he'd let go, clipped his hand over Yin's throat, and stepped over him as he fell to the floor, choking. Martin smiled, eyes gleaming, and 2 seconds later he lay disarmed and unconscious at the foot of the bookshelf. The picture of Jason's wife and daughter wobbled precariously for a moment and then fell, glass shattering as it landed on Angelo's head. It's Martin's head. Agent Sykes came bursting through the door. Jason looked up. Call our friends at the Bureau and tell them we have 2 to take into custody. Yes, sir. And then I believe we need to have a little talk about places to hide weapons. Sykes swallowed. Yes, sir. Jason lifted the broken picture frame. Well, darn, he sighed. New scene. Mickey turned at the knock on the door. She'd been staring out at the ocean all day. She'd been so disappointed when she woke this morning and realized that Jeff hadn't come back yet. Of course, he hadn't actually given her a time frame. Still, she hadn't thought it would be more than a few hours. It had now been well over 24. Shelley had come first thing in the morning, asked her to breakfast. Mickey had politely refused. Then the sweet lady had tried again in the afternoon and asked Mickey to do some online shopping with her for some clothes, but Mickey told her she just felt too tired and wanted to sleep. Shelley asked Mickey for her sizes and left her to rest. Mickey supposed it was time to pull herself out of the funk she was in. She couldn't hide in the blue room forever. Come in, she called softly. What appeared to be the fantasy version of a Hawaiian princess walked through the door. She was a little over 5 feet, with a slim, well-muscled, bronze-colored body and long, dark brown, almost black hair that fell to her waist in large, voluptuous waves. She wore a tiny pink and white floral bikini with a matching sarong-style skirt that rode very low on her hips. The girl smiled sweetly, showing beautiful white teeth. Her entire face lit up, and her brown eyes showed such warmth and compassion that it belied the girl's age. Mickey knew that this was Jeffy, Juneflower Kino. Shelley had spoken of her several times already. Hi, Jeffy said. I was on my way up to change for dinner, and Mom asked me to tell you dinner will be ready in about 30 minutes. Thanks, Mickey replied. Oh, and by the way, I'm Jeffy. Well, I'm Juneflower, but most everyone calls me Jeffy. The girl smiled brightly at her. Do you feel like talking? Jeffy asked. She was mesmerizing, and Mickey felt drawn to her. Mickey shrugged and smiled back at her. Sure. Jeffy came in and sat on the edge of the bed. Mickey took a chair and waited for her to speak. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry for everything that's happened to you. Mickey's eyes moistened immediately, but she blinked several times to make it stop. You know everything? Yes. Uncle Jason told Mom and Dad, and they believe there should never be any breakdown in communication, so everyone in our family knows. Joey knew anyway because he's been working with Ameritech for a few years now. Joey? I thought he was the little boy. Oh, that's little Joey. He's my nephew, my brother Mark's little boy. I meant my brother Joey. He's 23. Oh. Jeffy smiled. Our family is a little confusing. Yeah, maybe a little. Would you like me to tell you about them? Mickey smiled. That would be great. Maybe it will keep my mind off my troubles. Okay, well, there's my mom. Yeah, she's very kind. I really like her. Yeah, she's like that. Everyone feels the same way. She met my dad when he trained her for the Mart, which is like a big martial arts tournament. I know the Mart. I've actually watched it a few times. Cool. So, Mom already had Bree and Mark and Joey when she met my dad. My dad had Ricky. Ricky's mom died of cancer. Then my dad and mom got together and had me. And then Mark's girlfriend had their baby, but she died of brain cancer, and that's why we have little Joey. And then Bree and Ricky finally admitted that they were in love with each other, and they got married, and they have 2 kids now. Wow. And Bree is Brianna Adams, the famous movie star, and Ricky is Ricky Kino, also the famous movie star, Mickey asked. Yeah, though to me they're just my brother and sister. Gotcha. My little sister would go crazy to be able to meet them. How old is your sister? Jeffy asked. She's actually your age, maybe a little tiny bit older. Really? Yes, Mickey said softly. I miss her so much. She must be devastated by all this. Jeffy frowned. Because she thinks you're dead? Yeah. We were very close. I can't imagine what she must be going through. I wish there was a way we could get a message to her, Jeffy said. I know, but Jeff says no contact, that it will destroy everything he's working on to catch my stepfather. Jeffy shook her head. Bree and we're really close too. If I thought she was dead or hurt, I don't know what I'd do. Ricky was kidnapped once a long time ago. Waiting to hear if he was dead or alive was one of the worst nightmares our family has ever been through. Of course, I have to say that I knew he was alive. You did? Jeffy nodded her head. I can feel things. I know things. You mean like you're psychic? Yeah, like that, only I'm not in control of it. I never know when it will kick in. Have you always been like that? I mean, how old were you when you realized you knew things? Jeffy shrugged. Well, Mom and Dad say it's been like that since I could barely talk. Like, they said I went crazy one night as we drove home saying, Bunny, Bunny, and they kept saying that they didn't see a bunny, but when we pulled into our drive, there was this huge rabbit sitting on the driveway just past the gate. I mean, that's no big deal, but I knew Ricky was alive. I could feel him. I remember when that happened, Mickey said. When they found him, he was pretty messed up. Yeah, severe contusions and lacerations of the face, fracture of the second, third, and fourth proximal phalanx, numerous knife wounds, first and second-degree burns, and severe testicular trauma, fortunately not ruptured. Mickey's mouth dropped open. Oh, sorry. I'm studying to be a doctor. Oh, that's right. Jack told me you're like a genius and you're already in college. Yeah, right now I'm at the Keck School of Medicine at USC. You don't sound so excited. What is it? Would you rather be at Harvard? Jeffy smiled. No. First, I'm too young to be away from my family. And second, I know Harvard is where everyone thinks the best and brightest go. But our family is pretty big on not being swayed by the conventional. What do you mean? It's kind of like the Hummer. You mean the car? Mickey asked, her expression puzzled. Yeah. I mean, everyone says they're the thing to have. They were the most luxurious, the best made, the most expensive. Before the gas crunch, they were the totally cool thing to have. Why? Because someone somewhere with a little... I'm so sorry. Because someone somewhere with a little bit of pull said they were, and the sheep of the world followed suit. Everyone trying to keep up with everyone else. It's so silly. I mean, really, look at the Hummer. Yes, they have luxury, as do a gazillion other vehicles, but really look at them. They're big, ugly boxes taken from the design of military ATVs. I just bet some dudes sat around one Saturday afternoon and decided to do a test. They decided to design the ugliest car they could come up with, tell the public it's the best, the most expensive, and sit around and laugh while all the people clamor over each other to own one. Jeffy shook her head in disgust and then looked up at Mickey. Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes I get a little long-winded. It's been a problem for me most of my life. I didn't mean to get carried away. Mickey laughed. No problem, Jeffy. This has been an extremely enlightening conversation. Oh, you're not put off? It never fails. A train does not come by unless I'm recording. I live right next to a railroad track. All right. Mickey laughed. No problem, Jeffy. This has been an extremely enlightening conversation. You're not put off? Not at all. Good. Jeffy blew out of breath. Anyway, about school. It's okay, I guess. I do love learning. Sometimes the teachers can't teach me fast enough, and it makes me crazy, so I read quite a bit. My problem, though, is the social thing. I'm having a difficult time. Well, what I mean is, sometimes I just wish I was a normal girl in a normal school getting ready to have my first date or go to prom. You know what I mean? Mickey smiled. I think I do. Mom and Dad, they encourage me to make friends with kids my own age, and I try. I really do. But they talk about stuff that's so, well, it's so stupid that I can't relate. So the other kids think I'm a snob, and I just bury my nose in a book and try not to think about it. Oh, Jeffy, Mickey said, moving close and taking her hand. You're in a difficult spot, bless your heart. You have the mind and knowledge of an adult stuffed inside the body of a teenager. Jeffy's eyes welled with tears. You understand. No one outside my family has ever understood. Not really. Well, I do understand. Maybe it's because I'm a writer and I immediately think of what someone would be thinking or feeling. You're in a grown-up world, and you not only haven't been able to experience the things a kid gets to experience, you also haven't experienced the things an adult experiences. Jeffy nodded. Yeah, like sex. Sex? Yes. No one wants to talk about it with me. I mean, Mom and Dad, they're pretty open about things, and they understand my need to learn, and they try to help me to understand things. But they keep telling me that I'm too young, regardless of my mind, and that God would not want me to have sex when I'm not married. And I get that. I really do. I mean, I love God, and I also know what God wants me to learn, that God wants me to learn how to heal the world. I absolutely know that. So, like, I'm reading and learning about the workings of the human body, and sex is a big part of everything, and yet I've never even experienced an orgasm. I mean, how stupid is that? People say it's mind-blowing pleasure. How can I cure anyone if I don't even know the basics of life? Mickey swallowed, not quite sure what would be the right thing to say, and Jeffy grinned. I snuck out of the house a few weeks ago, intending to remedy the virgin thing. However, things went a little awry. If it hadn't been for Jeff being so kind, the whole episode could have been a lot worse. Jeff? Jeff Davis? Uh-huh. Isn't he just the cutest guy in the world? He's good-looking enough, Mickey said stiffly. She was afraid to ask, but she had to know. What exactly did he do? Well, he rescued me, of course. Jeffy went on to tell the whole story, and Mickey found herself greatly relieved. When Jeffy finished telling about the pictures in the Scandal magazine and Ricky confronting Jeff, they had a good laugh. So why did Mickey suddenly feel like crying? She didn't want to have one of her stupid crying spells right here in front of Jeffy, but the tears started and she couldn't hold them back. Oh, Mickey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. You've been through so much. And here I am talking about my stupid problems. Please don't cry. Mickey swiped her eyes with her fingers. Oh, it's not about you, she said, as she sniffed and smiled through her tears. I don't know. I just keep getting these crying jags. Jeff says it's normal. I really miss him. And I miss my little sister, too. You're so much like her. If only I could tell her I'm okay. Jeffy stood and put her arms around her. We'll think of something. Don't you worry. Everything is going to work out. I just know. And Jeff is coming soon. You've heard from him? Jeffy shrugged. Oh, no. I just know it. You need to talk to my dad, Mickey. He's a psychologist, and he helps people work through trauma. Mickey sniffed. I thought your dad was a martial arts instructor. Jeffy laughed. Oh, he's not just an instructor. He's a grand master. He's the best. He owns schools in every state, and he teaches big, important people who train the military people, special ops people, and he's also a psychologist. He became one, so he could help his students to become one with themselves. He's very kind, and people love to talk to him. You'll see what I mean when you meet him. Jeffy bent to give Mickey one more hug. Well, I got to go get dressed, but I have to say, I just love you already. Mickey laughed. The door opened and Shelley Keno stepped into the room. Everything okay in here? She asked. Oh, hi, Mom, Jeffy said brightly. Sure, Mickey and I were just getting to know each other. Well, I didn't mean to barge in, but I knocked and you didn't answer, and you know how I worry. Yes, I know. Is Bree here yet? They just got here and dinner's ready. Why don't you hurry and dress, and Mickey and I will be right there. Okay, see you, Mickey, Jeffy said. Thanks for letting me talk your ear off. Mickey grinned at her. No problem. Shelley sat down next to the beautiful girl whom she thought could be compared to her own daughter, Bree, known as one of Hollywood's most beautiful actresses. Shelley took Mickey's hand. Jeffy has a tendency to talk a lot. I hope she didn't upset you. Oh, no, not at all. She took my mind off things for a while. She's sweet. I really like her. Shelley reached up and smoothed some hair away from Mickey's face. It was a tender, motherly gesture which, darn it, brought more tears to Mickey's eyes. And Shelley stood and retrieved a tissue and held it out to her. Thank you, Mickey said, dabbing at her eyes. Your heart is tender now, Shelley said. You cry all you want. It's good for you. You've not only been hurt physically, but you've been betrayed by people close to you. And that hurts more than the physical. I'm here for you to talk to if you want. I want to hear all about everything that happened to you, but I'll wait for you to tell me in your own good time. Just know that I understand. And let me encourage you, if you don't want to talk to me, you need to talk to my husband. I promise, if you do, you'll feel better. You have a kind heart, Mickey said, smiling at the pretty woman. She knew Shelley Keno was in her late 40s, but she looked to be no older than 30, 35. She wore no makeup, though really, she didn't need any. She had gorgeous brown eyes with incredible gold-colored lashes. Her hair was dark blonde or light brown with golden streaks through it. It was long and thick, judging from the width of the single braid she wore. She had on blue jean shorts and a sleeveless shirt which showed off amazing biceps and killer legs, and her smile was kind and her eyes wise and a little sad. Shelley smiled. You have a kind heart, too. It takes one to know one. Now, you may not believe me, but sometimes it helps to do normal things like coming downstairs and eating dinner. She smiled. Mickey smiled. Jeff told me that same thing the other day. Jeff was right. Shelley eyed the young woman. He's a good guy, isn't he? Mickey sighed before she spoke, which told Shelley what she wanted to know. I've never met anyone like him, Mickey said. He's so kind and tough and strong and fearless and really intelligent. You don't meet many men with all that going on. No, you certainly do not, Shelley agreed. She smiled kindly. Tell you what, come downstairs with me and we'll all tell you funny stories about Jeff. It'll make you feel a lot better. Mickey stood. I think I'd like that. They went downstairs together, and Mickey was suddenly surrounded by a wild, loud mass of some of the most attractive people she'd ever seen. The Brianna Adams came forward without speaking a word and hugged her tight. Welcome to our home, she said softly. Everything's going to be okay. She pulled away, and Mickey smiled at her. Thank you. Ricky Keno approached, a look of compassion on his gorgeously handsome face. He took both her hands in his. Hi, Mickey. We rhyme. Mickey giggled while everyone else groaned. No, really, we're glad you're here. Thank goodness Jeff was at his lake house. Amen, someone in the background called out. Ricky looked her over. And I'm going to guess that Jeff is just as thankful. Mickey blushed and Ricky smiled knowingly. These little munchkins are Eric and Taylor, Ricky said, introducing his children. Mickey smiled down at two of the most beautiful children she'd ever seen. They were like exotic fairies from a storybook. Both had thick, dark brown hair with a slight wave to it. The girl's hair was very long. They each had beautiful golden skin and large eyes. The boy had dark brown eyes like his father. The girl's eyes were almost gray. She was mesmerizing. Truly, they nearly took her breath away. Hello, she said. Little Eric smiled kindly, a complete twin to the look that had been on his father's face a moment ago. He held out his small hand in a very grown-up gesture. Hi, I saw you on TV. I'm glad you got away. Me too, she said. How old are you, Eric? 6. I'm in the first grade. That's wonderful. I'm 3, a tiny voice said sternly. Well then, Mickey laughed. I thought you were much older than 3. I thought maybe you were, about 100. The little girl giggled, a sound like tiny bells tinkling. You're funny, Taylor said, like my daddy. Mickey smiled up at Ricky, who was looking down at his little girl with so much tenderness. Mickey's heart lurched. Hi, I'm Mark. Mickey looked up at the owner of the deep voice. He was taller than all the rest by a few inches. She remembered he was Shelley's oldest son from a previous marriage. He had light brown hair and big brown eyes like his mother. He was big and athletically built and had his hand resting on the top of a little boy's head. And this is little Joey. Obviously, the family taught the children impeccable manners because the child offered his hand with a giant smile. Hi. I'm 6'2", but I'm older than Eric, but that's okay because he's my best friend. He's also my cousin, but we don't care. We're still best friends. Well, how lucky for both of you, Mickey offered. Joey couldn't be here, Shelley added. He's still at the office with Jason. Come on, everyone, let's sit down. Jeffy came running in, and they circled around the large table. Mickey looked around at all the happy, smiling faces and people who were obviously at ease with each other and compared it to the horrible family dinners that she'd had to endure as a child. She was beginning to realize that she'd missed so much, which meant Marissa was missing out too. They were all seated by the time the man Mickey presumed to be Grandmaster Keno walked into the room. He went straight to his wife, stood behind her chair, and placed his hands on her arms. So sorry I'm late, he explained. I had Jason on the phone and wanted to get some details on a few things. Mickey watched as he leaned down and kissed his wife. Not a quick nip of the lips, but a slow, sweet kiss. And when he pulled away, there was promise in his eyes. I would say the old get-a-room thing, Ricky said, but they'd probably do it. Bree smiled. They're in love, she explained to Mickey. So are we, Ricky said, and there are plenty of rooms upstairs. You guys, stop, Jeffy complained. You're going to make Mickey think we're weirdos. I think it's great, Mickey said dreamily. You know, to be so in love. Eric came around the table to Mickey's side and offered his hand. Mickey, I'm Eric. Mickey gazed up into a noble face. He smiled the kindest smile she'd ever seen, and he took her hand in his. She felt warmth and love immediately flow into her body and felt the now familiar sting of tears. We'll talk later, he assured her. Please, feel welcome in our home. I do, thank you. I promised her, Shelley began, that we would tell her all the funny stories about Jeff we could think of. Well, that'll take all night, Ricky laughed. Let me tell you about the time I drugged him, Bree said. As she spoke, Jeffy smiled up at Mickey, and Mickey smiled back, and Ricky winked at her, and Bree chatted on, and Mark added color to the story, and Shelley smiled at her husband, who smiled back at his wife with complete devotion on his face, and Mickey sighed. Maybe everything really was going to be okay, just like everyone kept saying. And that is the end of Chapter 6. Talk to you later. Forgot how to end it.